I'm a little rusty on it.
I'll hum it for you.
Hello, 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 hello. Oh my goodness, the sun is up and we're doing a stream. I know. Fucking crazy. Alright. Sorry, I had to like plug. What the heck is going on my wires? Oh, okay. What happens when you have a laptop that you have to like do the wire setup every single time? Okay, that's better. Pull this, tighten that. Good, good. Hi there. All right, so it's the afternoon. I know that's crazy. For once, the middle part of the intro is going to be the one that maybe more people see, but either way, or it will be more applicable. Hey there. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening whenever you might be watching this. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. On here, we talk news, politics, and current events. It's currently February 10th, 2023, and yeah, so on last night's stream, we had a caller call in, and we did a pretty long call for that one. So I wanted to make sure to come on today while I have like the day off for once, and catch up with all the stuff that we didn't end up covering yesterday. So let's just go right into it, shall we? I don't even, not a whole lot of preamble here. I need to bring up the, okay, there it is. Sweet. That actually functioned the way it's supposed to. Anyway, let's go. All right, so Brett Cooper, Daily Wire, YouTuber. There was a time when I thought to myself, I probably shouldn't cover this person. They seem kind of young. I should be a little bit more, what's the word? Charitable or whatever. But after seeing a little bit more of their content, I'm kind of like, no. Okay, they're kind of a dumb fuck. All right. Anyway, let's get going.
Back to the comments section.
Wow,
I'm Brett
loud.
Cooper. Women, I am coming for you today.
Okay, there we go.
is a TikTok trend that has really been irking me and rubbing me the wrong way over the last couple of weeks. And it is just a perfect example of how feminism has gone way too far. And I kind of wanted to smush it all together and have a broader conversation about that and what I am calling toxic femininity. But before
You gotta be fucking kidding me. You know, I thought this was like a joke. By the way, I am eating pizza. It's lunchtime. What do you want from me? So, first of all, your call toxic femininity has been a thing since what? The beginning of time? Like, yeah, being like super rad femme is kind of toxic. There are elements of femininity that are toxic the same way there are elements to masculinity that are toxic. This isn't a new concept. of course, being that Brett Cooper is a conservative and has a baby brain because they're young, they don't seem to realize that toxic masculinity was a thing that it's not like that just existed in like 2010. That isn't like a new thing. Like that, it's always kind of been a thing that there are toxic elements to masculinity. But unfortunately, doesn't seem like she's very well
Before we get
aware.
into that, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you
Don't
have
do
not
any of these
already,
things.
and ring that notification
Don't
bell
do
so
any
you
of these
never
things.
miss a comment section or off the clock
You
episode.
should do that for this
trend
channel, but
started
not
popping up
that
a couple
channel.
of weeks ago. I saw a few videos, and then recently I clicked on the sound
Oh, yeah.
and saw
Where's
how many women were making videos like this, and it was just shocking to me. And then I saw other things that were kind
I
of
forgot
relating
we
to
need
it,
to
so
bring
that's kind
Regina
of how
George in
this
here.
episode came about. But anyway, let's just dive in and watch some of these. And obviously, when I say I'm talking to women, I'm coming after women, most of my audience, like, you guys are smart. You're not going to feed into this stuff, but still,
yeah.
we're talking to women today. Okay, here we go.
Oh my god, it's so loud even in my ears. I not be the one you marry, but I'll be the one you're thinking about while driving home to your high maintenance vanilla wife. Hilarious.
So that's the trend, is basically I'm better than
Whoa.
your vanilla wife. And you're going to be thinking about me when you're married to some other girl.
God for fucking bid that any woman be like, I'm like, God forbid they be like, I'm a real catch. Okay. Cause this totally doesn't happen with guys. Totally doesn't happen with guys.
You're
Got
still
it.
going to be thinking about how much fun you had with me and how much better I am than her. So like this one, I might not be the one you marry, but I'll be the one you're thinking about while driving home to your high maintenance vanilla wife. Here's another one.
TikTok really is like, TikTok really is just like DMCA Vine, isn't it?
I mean, the sound on this one is perfect. Can't make a wife out of a hoe. That's very socially true in many ways, and the girl's leaning into
It's almost like that's the
that.
point.
But this one says, I might not be the girl you marry, but I'll be the one you're thinking about 20 years from now when you engage in polite sex with your boring wife who fakes her orgasm to make you feel better about your receding hairline. And then this girl is basically saying that she's the hoe who he could not keep, and now he's dealing with the consequences with his stupid vanilla wife. Here's another one. It's so trashy. And what is the point? Why you're getting clout for saying you're the hoe? For insinuating that men are thinking
This
about
girl's so
you
fucking
while
triggered.
being with their wife? We have fallen so far in our society that is
Oh my god, I love when they extrapolate. I love when people extrapolate like really like petty, small, little TikTok trends that, let's be honest, don't create any harm and don't really amount to anything, to like fucking societal breakdown. Like, take a deep breath. This is just people fucking around on social media. Let's like take a chill pill. This is mostly women bigging themselves up in a way that's like kind of toxic, but like overall harmless. It's harmless because they're not actually talking to anybody. They're just bigging themselves up. That's all that's happening.
is like morally acceptable to post online, to like be proud of yourself that a guy is emotionally cheating on his
Man.
wife with you, and you're proud of that. Bullshit. That's wrong. All right, we have more. I'm telling you, there's so many of these.
I bet there are. There's like a whole trend around it.
God, okay,
Yeah,
here's
this is
another one.
this is just pick me culture. That's really all this is. This is just a bunch of women being like, I'm better than all the boring girls, which, okay. Like has Brett Cooper never like delved into like the manosphere TikTok where they're all like jacked to the gills and being like, I don't play video games and watch rom-coms. The Super Bowl's this weekend. Like, yeah, like, okay, it's people being fucking meatheads. Like, that's all this is. That's all this is this is the equivalent of women being meatheads. Like,
Driving the point home, everybody.
Make it stop, Brad! Make it stop!
At least she put a different song on here. And I know I showed you a lot of these, but there are
She also
so
put,
many of these
she
videos
also
under
put
different
September.
songs. But if you search like vanilla wife, boring wife, they all come up, and it's all of these women that are so proud to not be traditional, to not
it sounds like somebody's just really insecure. Honest to God, this is the face of insecurity. right here. Because at the end of the day, if you were a confident woman, the way some of these women are astroturfing that they are, you wouldn't care. You'd be like, whatever, man. Like, go ahead and be Rocky Road. But at the end of the day, everybody always reverts to vanilla eventually. Like you shouldn't care. Like, what's funny to me is, like, Brett Cooper would absolutely be the person to, like, post on TikTok of her being like, I might not be like the feminist icon you want and the rad femme that you want, but I'm the vanilla girl who will make you breakfast in bed. Like, which is also perfectly fine. Go ahead, promote the values that you think are valuable to your identity, to your personhood. That's totally fine. I support you in that. Go right ahead. But, like, I don't know what this is, this whole, like, nonsense of, like these women like are so proud of themselves not being traditional. Like, all right, like, it's fine. People are allowed to be non-traditional. Like, I don't know, like you have just as much of a right to go and promote yourself as a traditional woman as somebody who doesn't. I hate this whole dichotomy of, like, oh no, like, people like classical Abby or whatever the fuck get to all, you know, they can go on TikTok, they can be like, wouldn't it be great to be a traditional woman and, like, you know, make breakfast for your man and take care of your kids? And it's like, sure, if that's what you want. Like, all this is again, all this is people trying to distinguish themselves as, like, the superior pick, because this comes from a mindset that dating is like fucking Singles Inferno, which it's not, even though I love that show. But
not be married, but they're still being thought about by married men. And on almost all of these videos, the comments are turned off. In all of the videos I showed you, only one of them,
I wonder why,
kept the comments on. Everybody else is turning them off. And I wonder why you had to turn off those comments. I wonder if it's because you are shaming wives, an entire population, traditional women. Now, my first thought is...
crazy thought. Could it possibly be that there are men who are misogynist online who, when they see a woman promoting themselves in a even mildly positive way, which I'm not sure if this is, like, I'm not sure if drawing a distinction between you and, like, married women is, like, positive, but, like, it's really only there to make yourself feel better, which is, again, fine. But could it possibly be that there are misogynists online that will use that opportunity to not just criticize you, but, like, actively harass you online? Could possibly be. How often does Brett Cooper look at her comment section of her videos? Or specifically, how deep into the internet does she go to see where her videos end up? Trust me, the internet's
the absurd ego on
shady
these women
place.
To think that you are every man's girl who got away, that everybody is just sitting around thinking about you.
Imagine.
Newsflash, the world does not revolve around you. People are not sitting around thinking about you every single day. They are too caught up in their own business. Get a grip.
You think you're too cool for school?
You're probably just trying to cover.
Dude, you know, I get these references because I'm 30, but does Brett Cooper get these references?
This deep insecurity that you are not married or settled down and you are still walking around thinking about sex you've had with random guys years ago. That's probably why you're posting this. Anyway, like I said, only one of the girls had her comments still on. This person said, oh girl, trust me, they always reach back out, always. Another girl said, yep, manifesting for him to never forget me ever. Why? Why are you so hell-bent on having a guy think about you forever but not actually be with you? Weird.
It's called wanting attention. It's why you post on social media. It's also why you post on social media, because you want attention. Because people, unfortunately, in 2023, unfortunately, have I think, disturbing addiction to social media and the feedback loop that it creates. None of this has anything to do with being traditional or non-traditional. It's just simply the way that we've structured our society now that we have what social media is. You know, if social media didn't exist, you wouldn't really see this, but you would see the version of it, which are mean girls and like this one up here, there's always going to be people who astroturf that they're better than others, that they're wanted more. It's called, popular girls. Like, all right, it's fine. Like they're sometimes assholes maybe, but is it the death of Western civilization? Are we like crumbling? No, it's fine. Just people have a different avenue now. People have a different way of expressing that insecurity and also kind of owning a bit of it in a way.
Somebody else said, we might not be the one they choose, but we're going to be the one they regret not choosing. Smirky face. Like, what is, they're all clapping like girl boss seals.
This is what happened.
I appreciated this man, though, in the comment section, inadvertently humbling them. I don't think that was his intention, but I read the comment like that. His name is Dan. He said, I wish I could remember some women I had been with. Genuinely bugs me when I can't recall how they were. It's like, yeah, sorry, I literally don't remember you. So sorry you're sitting around making all of these videos about how everybody's thinking about you and we literally can't even remember. Thankfully, though, a lot of wives and husbands jumped in and started defending their marriages and their relationships. Cool. And this one just hits the nail on the head.
Which, like, is that a problem? No, it's fine. There's like nothing wrong with any of this. It's just people being what's the word? I don't want to yeah, actually, people just being a bit self-absorbed. And you know what? Sometimes that's okay. To a certain extent, it's unhealthy, but that's like on an individual health level. Like if it becomes unhealthy. If you're posting like one video of this, then I'm like, it's fine. You're just kind of riding the wave. You're having like a little bit of social fun, but like, okay.
And it went viral, and it's just, I think she sums it up well. She said, hi, I'm the vanilla wife. I couldn't care less what my husband did before we met, who his exes are, and what he experienced with them. He proposed to me after 10 months, and we got married a year later. Please go on with your life. Don't be so bitter. I'm sure you'll find someone. Being obsessed with a happily married man and creating obscure scenarios is not good for your mental health. No, it is not. Like, literally, you are obsessing over people that you do not have because you are insecure. And you are
Wait, no, but they're not obsessing over it. They're just using it as a way to inflate their own ego. Which again, people, it's fine.
Probably alone.
It's not harmful.
That is not healthy. None of it is. So I did like seeing how a lot of women turned the trend around and didn't allow these women to slander them. And like that girl started doubling down and being like, yeah, I am the vanilla wife and I'm proud of it. I have a great relationship.
How
I'm
dare
super happy. I get to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, what's wrong with that? Like, that is the way you handle this sort of thing.
Who gets to be a stay-at-home mom? Please. I feel like that's complete horseshit.
That is the reason why all of those women turned off the comments on those stupid videos. Moving on, because obviously I wanted to talk about more than just that trend. This is not the first of this kind of attitude that I have seen. There are so many women online who are hell-bent on taking down traditional women for their own gain and trying to dominate men, like this.
Whoa, have you ever So the name of this video is, has toxic masculinity become toxic femininity? To which the answer is, if you were paying any fucking attention in class, they both always existed, and they're both rather normal. Because when people lean into their femininity or masculinity the same way they do lean into almost anything, it can become toxic. Your relationship to how you present to the world can absolutely be toxic, whether you are a man or a woman. So, like, I can't help but be like, this is not a phenomenon that's like new or different. This is literally how it's always been, and there's nothing unique about what we're seeing. The only difference about it is you're seeing it on TikTok and not on Vine or on YouTube Shorts or on Instagram Shorts. That's the only thing that's really different about this.
I also cannot tell if this person.
So it's in the hashtag just moved to those platforms anyway.
But either way, the point is still the same because people love him, her. Okay.
So aside from having amazing characteristics, the reason why plain Janes get wifed up a lot quicker than the conventionally attractive girl.
Wait. Is this woman trying to claim she's a plain Jane? Girl, you have some excellent fucking eyeshadow with some excellent fucking eyebrows. Get the fuck out of here. I'm a plain Jane. Get out of here. This is somebody being like, I feel like I'm just vanilla, and the person coming in who's who's like, well, I'm like French vanilla bean, but I'm like plain too. It's like, no. French vanilla bean is an extra like $2 at the grocery store. We're talking Blue Bunny, like barrel, white ass vanilla boring bullshit that you mix in with other things. No.
Because their maintenance costs less. Everyone knows it costs money to look good, and when you appear high maintenance,
yes, the classic we're better because we're low maintenance because our value in terms of money is lower.
Not a cup. And as a plain Jane, you're just vanilla. Now, nothing's wrong with vanilla. I love vanilla. We all love
This person's
vanilla.
voice is also immaculate.
Average choice, and since most people are average, they're gonna opt for the average choice. You're just gonna have to accept that as a pretty girl, you are an acquired taste.
I just love this. This person is like, you will just have to accept as a pretty girl, not me. I'm just a regular, like where are your nerdy glasses? Where is your like? You better not be anywhere near 5'8" or 5'9". You need to be like 5'2", 5'3", nerdy glasses. I don't like this. This is a lie. This is propaganda.
Everyone can get access to McDonald's, but not everyone has access to caviar.
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree.
Yeah, there's also a what's it called? There's also a real stigma. I think around like not a real stigma, but there also is like the mere opposite of this is that like I'm low maintenance, I'm easy to please, I'm this and I'm that, which always comes down to like, okay, so like what, you don't voice your opinions very much, you like don't engage, you just kind of like let men kind of take the reins of any thing and everything. Like what is this? Like, I'm a woman but I get out of the way for my man. Like, you should do whatever the fuck it is you want to do. Like I never like the like women doing on either end of this, women doing anything as like a calculation to fit into men's lives. Like, just be you, boo. That's all you need to do. And to fellas out there, you also do you. And when you find somebody that appreciates you doing you and them doing and wait, you doing you and you appreciate them doing them, then you have a functional and very happy relationship. It's rather simple.
With you there.
Okay, I'm so uncomfortable right now because it feels like we are back in high school and we are dealing with a mean girl. Like, yeah,
yes.
it's so hard being this pretty. It's just like, guys, they can't have them too expensive. Let me say, oh, I love vanilla. Everybody loves vanilla, you sweet. It's so condescending. It's like the only reason you're getting married is because you're kind of ugly. That's the only reason why. No, it's not.
Oh, is that what that? Okay, cool.
It's probably because they're good people and they treat their husbands well and they're not sitting online shaming other women and saying, I'm too good for you. Like, this is actual pick-me girl behavior.
Yeah, this is, oh, thank you. Yes, all of this is pick-me behavior. Trad women also do pick me behavior because they're all competing for like, I will be the I will be the lowest maintenance of all the options. I will accommodate my man as much as I possibly can, more than those other girls. Those other girls won't let you be a real man. It's like, how about you just be you? How about you just be you?
Behavior. You are upset because some person did not choose you, and so you're trying to rationalize why that didn't happen. And in the midst of that, you're tearing down plain Jane women and saying, oh, he couldn't handle me, he couldn't afford me, that's why he had to settle for you. Again, condescending. And like I said, it's probably because you sit on the internet making videos like this, also making videos about how you manipulate men.
Do you think do you think she would have any of these critiques for Abby Shapiro being online, uploading constantly? Actually, I don't know if her channel, I'm assuming her channel's still going, but like her channel, which just does the exact same thing but from a traditional woman's perspective, it's almost like there's like a very clear bias where women who are a lot more individualistic should not be bigging themselves up, or should not be what's the word I'm looking for? Marketing themselves to men in a specific kind of way that like she finds toxic. But like, you know, if you're like a traditional woman, that's like perfectly fine. Like, no, both of these things, women should not be like molding, like fucking bending themselves to fit into men's lives the same way they should not be bending themselves to fit into the hot girl aesthetic. Like,
Really good seduction tip is to slip
Is this the same
words,
girl?
I need you to into
Uh-huh.
sentences, because that's going to be the command and it's going to go into their subconscious like a lot easy. So for example, Daniel, I need you to pass me that glass of water. Daniel, I need you to zip this up for me.
What?
It's kinda
What is
like
this person's
programming
name?
their subconscious to become dependent on you.
Now, she started off this series by calling it seduction tips, and then like 6 videos in, they turned to manipulation. And so now she
yes.
doesn't even call them seduction. That was kind of like a mask for it. Now this person makes videos.
This is unrelated to the topic, but have you ever noticed this also happens at work? You ever notice that your boss never tells you that like, for the most part, I find bosses don't really ask you for favors. They don't really ask you if you could take care of something. Most of the time they tell you, I need you to do this, and then I need you to do this, and then I need you to do this, because their idea is that you're going to be dependent on the thing that they're asking you to do to pay your bills.
About how to manipulate men. Oh, you say this, you can get them to do things. Oh, if you don't want him to do this, he'll fall to his knees for
Whoa,
this.
crazy
Like,
thought. There's
I'm
like
sorry.
negative,
Newsflash, most men aren't looking for that.
negative dating
They're not
advice?
wanting to have a woman play games with them.
Hey, whoa,
and
whoa, whoa.
manipulate
Some
them.
men do.
Nobody wants that. But women keep saying these things and acting like this. Again, here's another one.
The whole time I was seeing him, I was kind of just using it as a
Girl, are you at the beach? Okay.
psychology experiment, and I didn't really like the guy. I more just wanted to see if I could break his heart. And it was fun.
So did you break his heart then?
Just a wee bit. I hope I did a little damage.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
That is
What an
psychopath
asshole.
behavior. Oh, I just wanted to break his heart just a little bit. I didn't even like him. No wonder men are wary about long-term relationships when women are acting like this, when you are saying things like this online. Like, I guarantee a guy is going to see you now and be like, oh, yeah, never mind. Do not want to go out with you, because objectively, you are
Yeah, that person that person classically played themselves.
a player. And you care more about this fake, made-up idea
Brett
that you
Cooper
need to
realizes that
dominate
there's like
and
the
screw over men
like
in order to be an
you
empowered woman.
she understands
in order
that
to
there's
abolish
the
patriarchy, that you need to
man
adopt
side of
all
this,
of
right?
these, toxic
Like-
masculine traits and
like
tear
there's
down
a
men.
oh
and
wait,
be
whoa,
aggressive.
whoa,
You act
whoa, so toxic masculinity is real then? So the entire time that I've been told by conservatives that toxic masculinity isn't real, well, they were all just lying. Okay, cool. You all kind of understood from day one. Glad to hear it.
actually don't. We have to work together in harmony. That is how men and women work. There are things that both of us do better, do differently. We are biologically designed to work together. That is natural. We are supposed to find balance. That is healthy. That actually reminds me of balance of nature, which actually helps you make.
You know, what I don't like about this also is it's essentializing and trying to kind of roll in we just do different things and do things better. Here's a fun fact. Every single person does something better than another person, but there is no baseline measurement for women or for men always being better at doing really anything that women do. Overall, men and women are capable of doing all of the same things. The only difference is how our systems are structured in that like men as basketball players will do better than women as basketball players. Now, does that have anything to do with their actual acumen to the sport? Fuck no. What that has to do for the most part is prioritization in terms of pay and in terms of promotion. It's why WNBA players get paid shit and NBA players get paid well because they're not promoted as well. And even though they're performing the sport of basketball at a higher, if not just as high level as male players. But because promoters don't see women's sports as equal, they're not given an equal shake at the table. So like when we say that like she's right in the sense of like men and women come together in a relationship and work together. And there are things that men and women individually will be better or worse at certain things. And what you will end up doing is kind of as you like live with that person, as they become kind of part of your life, you're going to naturally compensate for the things that your partner might fall short of with your skills, and vice versa. And that's kind of how it works. But there is no baseline universal any of this like men are always better at this, women are always better at that. Most of that comes from social programming and social norms. So obviously women are better caretakers because the idea is that, oh, well, they're the ones who give birth, and they kind of just seem a little bit softer, they seem kinder. But if you had friends who you yourself had moms who are harsher, moms who are not as nurturing, like these are not universal traits. They're socially constructed ones that some people fit into, but not everybody. And I don't like this whole oh, okay, we're gonna like what's the word, like we're gonna go through the whole like, oh yeah, like, see, these women are being really manipulative because they're trying to like fight the patriarchy or something. No, they're being assholes because they're assholes, because there is a time period in which some people in people's lives where they act kind of selfishly. I've been that once before in my life. I didn't like it, and that trend didn't continue for very long. But like, some people, they kind of got used to that, or some people, they took more time to get out of that. But like, at the end of the day, these are individuals. There is no trend we're seeing where like women are manipulating men. What we're seeing is men not be able to find partners because they haven't been socially conditioned to deal and to socialize with modern women. And part of that is because of people like Ben Shapiro, like Jordan Peterson, like Brett Cooper, who tells them, no. You just need to look for traditional women, which is if that's what you want, sure, absolutely, do that. Look for traditional women. But if that's not the specific archetype of women, which, by the way, nobody should be trying to fill in archetypes, then you need to learn how to talk and how to live around women in 2023, which is going to be different than how it was when fucking Ben Shapiro was young back in like the 90s or whatever. So like, this all comes down to like, are men having trouble dating women? Absolutely. But a big factor of that is not understanding their place in the world, understanding how to approach women anymore. And women, from a degree, there is a subsect of women that are absolutely very toxic and not amenable to, I think, like traditional dating norms. But that just means you have to approach it from a different angle. People are different. They're going to be different people. This isn't bad, it's just different. And I know different never feels great because you're never ready for different, but like, the world's got to move on.
Reminds me actually of a poem that I've been seeing on social media this week. I first saw it on TikTok and people, posting these videos with like this emotional, sad music behind it, being like, oh, this spoke to me. And it was a lot of younger women around my age. And then I saw my personal friends posting this. And the one that sent me over the edge was a family friend who posted it on her feed, not even on her story, who has been married for like 20 years, is very successful in a happy relationship, and posted this. Let's just read it. If I had 3 lives, I'd marry you in 2. The other? Perhaps in that life over there at Starbucks, sitting alone, writing a memoir, maybe a novel, or this poem. No kids, probably. A small apartment with a view of the river, and books. Lots of books. And time to read. Friends.
Okay, so I have no real problem with like somebody, if some like whoever actually thinks about this, or whoever like this is their like aesthetic, all power to you. But god damn, like, same with men, and I'm gonna say this for women, and it goes for men too. Y'all gotta learn to be your own person. Honest to God, y'all gotta stop being like the same like fucking fucking outline of like of somebody that you heard online. Like I get this sentiment, I understand it, and there are people who genuinely feel this way, but I do think there are people who just like post this and this is like the archetype they wish they lived. Stop stop trying to fit your personality, your life into an archetype, into something that we write as literature. Don't do that.
Friends to laugh with, and a man sometimes, for a weekend, to remember what skin feels like when it's alive. I'd be thinner in that life, vegan, I'd practice yoga. I'd go to art films, farmers markets, drink martinis and swingy skirts and big jewelry. I'd vacation on the Maine coast and wear a flannel shirt weekend guy left behind.
Why do people like
loving
Maine?
the
It's
smell of
fucking
sweat and
freezing up
aftershave
there.
more than I did him. I'd walk the beach at sunrise, find perfect shell spirals and study pockmarks water makes in sand. And I'd wonder sometimes if I'd ever find you. Okay, in this third life that this woman is talking about, that all of these women are posting about being like, oh, I feel this so much. You can literally do all of those things as a married person, except cheat on them with some, guy you have for the weekend. Like, the writer, the people posting this.
Well, no, that's not, the thing is not that they want to be, it's not that they want to do all of those things. It's that they want to inhabit this kind of, free lifestyle, one where like your responsibilities aren't like, keeping you in check of everything. What she's basically describing is like, I wish I was rich, didn't need to work, and I just spent my days like up on the Maine coast fucking around, reading books, maybe watching TV shows, and not really having any responsibilities. Like that's all this is. But everybody has a version of this. Some people's version is like, I just want to be like in my, I can't even really think of one right now. But like, everyone has some version of like, oh yeah, if I had like 3 chances to go about life, probably 2 of them, I'd pick like the responsible one where I'm accountable to people, where I'm like somebody who's like involved with people, somebody whose life is tied up in other people's lives. But I think it's fair to say most people would also definitely pick at least one of 3 where they're like, yeah, I just want one where I'm not accountable to anybody. I'm not worried about anybody else. I'm just worried about me. I'm here for me. I do my own thing. I have a vision for my life that's a lot less ambitious. People need this kind of space to like at least like think about this stuff. I mean, shit. If you're asking me like, oh, like, what would your life if you had 3 lives? I'd be like, yeah, like 2 of them are probably the ones that I'm living now that I would just go about. But there would absolutely be one where I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm like rich. I have no worries whatsoever. I just kind of sit around, I play video games, I watch movies, I go out every once in a while. Maybe I go to the range every day or every other day or something. Like there's some version that everybody has of this in their lives, like in their heads. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. People, like, there are multiple paths you can take in life. And sometimes people are like, if you ever play an RPG, every once in a while you go, damn, part of me kind of wants to like reload a save from like really far back and make completely different choices. Because we as humans want to experience as many different things as we can, because we only have one life. So we fantasize about having multiple so that we can do all the things we're not doing in this one. Like, it's fine.
Are insinuating that men totally hold you back and that you lose yourself and your independence when you tether yourself to a husband. That women are
you lose your independence when you tether yourself to
their freedom
anyone.
When they get married. That is not true unless you marry an asshole. Obviously, there are exceptions in certain relationships. But as a woman,
the idea that she can't handle this from somebody she personally knows,
what makes you an
who's probably a little more
when
traditional,
you get married or you find somebody to spend your life with. It's kind of the contrary. You're supposed to be able to grow together, build each other up, do the things you love together. But women are posting.
So again, like specifically, notice that word choice. You're supposed to do all. People just want to live a life where they're not supposed to do anything. That's all this is fantasizing about. Is not supposing to do anything, not having society tell you you're supposed to do this. Your marriage is supposed to be like that. You're supposed to grow together. All the rest of this stuff. People want freedom.
posting this, acting like their autonomy is being totally stripped away by the men in their lives. That last line actually is true, though, and sometimes I'd wonder if I'd ever find you, because you can do all of those things and try to find meaning without love and family, but in the end, you are still going to want that kind of fulfillment. You are still going to want that love and that family.
Well, if you already lived
because
2
we are
lives worth, do you need it
designed
in the
to do
third
so.
one?
Those superficial things, vacationing on the Maine coast and looking at seashells.
I would
and,
want that.
doing yoga.
I would want that life to be like my middle life. Like I would want my first life to be maybe like the normal one. The second one, I would want the carefree one with no responsibility, no accountability, and then go back to the other one. Because then I'd be like, okay, it's been a lifetime. I like miss it. All right, let's go back now and appreciate it a little more.
And being vegan, those are not going to sustain you in the end, like emotionally, and what we need. I also want to know, like, what do men think about this? Like the women who are posting this, their partners, their boyfriends, their husbands. You see your girlfriend post this, it's like, what the hell? Again, it's just ridiculous. Now, all of this feels like
imagine being a guy and being like, I get you 2/3 of your lives. Like I get you for 2 of your lives, and like you just want to do your own thing for the third one. Like I'd be like, that's fair. I get like a vast majority of your life experience. Like that's fine. Like what do you want? Like I feel like has anybody watched I don't know if you've ever seen The Good Place, right? The Good Place is a show that takes place like basically in the afterlife, the entire show. And there's the like 2 of the main characters, basically they live for like at basically the end stage of the show. They live like for a bazillion years, right? But eventually they've experienced everything that they could possibly experience in the afterlife. And like at the end, what is one of the characters chooses to finally like die definitively, because they're in the afterlife, but like essentially like they live like this life where they don't age and everything else, but there is like a portal to basically be like, okay, it's over, right? Like this is it. You're not coming back. This is after the afterlife. You're done experiencing stuff. Now that seems terrifying to me personally, but like the last episode is like, you know, them kind of working through the idea that one of them is ready to be done experiencing life, even with the love of their life, while the other one is still has things that they want to do. And like this idea of like, I'm not leaving you because I don't want to spend more time with you. It's that like I've experienced it all at this point, and like I'm not going through the experience honestly. And I feel like part of this, like, how could you want a life without your husband? Like, because if you've lived enough of a life with them, maybe there's just time where you're like, hey, me as an individual, not part of this relationship, maybe I'm done. Maybe I've contributed and taken in all I can. And that like, and I can understand how that seems like really extreme, or can seem really tragic, or can seem really like offensive, but it's nothing on you. It's just there's a point where people have experienced it all, I think, at least conceptually. Obviously we don't live forever, and most people end up dying and wishing they did more with their life. But you know, if you're given like 3 lives, shit, one of them I would guess you would be like, I'm gonna have one. Like you've been you know, as somebody who lives with their significant other, like I like the days when it's just me at the house. I can just walk around wherever the fuck I want. Not, you know, they're at work doing whatever, you know, I'm at work, you know, they get the house to themselves. Like sometimes we want that on like a higher level, but like there's nothing wrong with that. It's called me time. It's fine. Like it's fine.
Toxic femininity to me. That is the term that I used at the beginning of this segment. Women have shamed men for these toxically masculine behaviors and traits, and then they've turned around and they've gone and adopted it. Not even just adopted it, but have taken it on as a form of empowerment, literally.
It's always
think
been
of all
there.
of the traits that make up toxic masculine behavior. I have some of them here. I pulled them
Here
up on
we
a
go.
list. Being stoic. Okay, think about that girl who literally said that she was playing that guy, wanted to break his heart, and showed no remorse.
Don't give me
That's
too long
pretty
to read
stoic
all
me.
those.
Being promiscuous. All of these girls literally thinking that they are just sexual objects. And that
Being promiscuous is not toxic. Being promiscuous is just being promiscuous. There's nothing negative about being promiscuous. I would assume if I went and looked at that, if we paused and looked at that list, that like at least 2 or 3 of those would not actually be toxic unless you're traditional.
That is empowering. I'm skipping over some of the ones that just don't make sense, but like being dominant,
Yes,
being violent, sexual aggression towards women. Okay, well, we have sexual aggression towards men now.
All
not
of
displaying
those
emotion.
things
Again, same thing as
are
being
bad.
stoic, not being a feminist ally. I mean, I can sort of twist that to make my point because
That's
I don't
just
think that
that's
feminism
just political
is healthy
alignment.
for women
You
and
can
actually empowering
be
women.
absolutely be
There you
a
go. Not engaging in
what's it
household
called?
chores and
A
caregiving.
not toxic
These
man
women who are not
and
married
not
are
be a
obviously
feminist.
not doing
Those
this.
two things are not
risk-taking. Apparently, that's toxically masculine. That is just absurd. Anyway,
a certain level of risk taking.
We are being taught to do all of those
You ever watched,
behaviors while
Cyberpunk Edge Runners?
simultaneously shaming
David
men
Martinez.
for allegedly
Very
having
toxic.
similar behaviors. There's no
And he pays
consistency.
for it.
You will not be treated better by men if you manipulate them and tell them that you hate them and that they are awful and that they're worth nothing. You will not gain a man's respect by treating him in that way, or if you're, trying to hang on to a past hookup when he has moved on with his life. Feminism has gone too far. No wonder
None of
the
this
two
is
sexes
feminist.
do not get along well. Like, this is absurd.
They don't?
Okay, that was fun.
Sometimes I wonder if Brett Cooper's ever been in a relationship. I really do. Because like a lot of her commentary, especially with this stuff, makes me think like, have you never been in a relationship with another person? It's not like easy. Like it's really not. Like being in relationships are rather messy. I don't know if you've heard, but like, all of these elements of like toxic femininity and masculinity do come up a lot of the times in relationships, because men and women, like at the end of the day, are going to kind of try to figure out what their role is in the relationship. And if you're trying to fill that role not with the things you want to do or the person you want to be, but if you fill that role with the things you think you're supposed to be or acting the way you're supposed to act, you're never going to be happy and you're always going to be resentful to a degree. But yeah, I mean, moral of the story, and also it comes down to it. I mean, the more political side of this is like, yes, there is toxic femininity, there is toxic masculinity. They have both always existed. There has always been a problem with leaning too heavily into your femininity or masculinity that ends up accentuating toxic elements thereof. This isn't new, and this also isn't anything that's like unique to the time. It's just now suddenly, because there's because there's a narrative that femininity has gone too far, or that women have made it too far, men aren't doing well, women are doing too well, the only way for, and it always comes from this belief that it's a that it's a zero-sum game when it comes to dating and relationships. And it's not. It's a push-pull, but it's not a zero-sum game. But so always keep that in mind. The only relationship advice I have, don't date those women because they kind of are assholes. Maybe in a couple years when they mellow out, they'll be less of assholes. But that doesn't, that's fine. They're allowed. It's okay. And if you're a woman and you see that and you think and you're feeling insecure about it, don't. You shouldn't feel insecure. You should feel perfectly secure in your what the hell is that? Oh, you should feel perfectly secure in your identity and your appeal to the opposite sex, or to whoever, whatever suitors you want to be aiming for. You should feel confident in your ability to attract them just based on your personality and the way you go about your life. Like don't worry about these girls. Same with and same with mean girls. These like pretty girls. Don't worry about the trad girls. Let them do them. You do. Everyone just do your thing. All right. Somebody that you're getting does not take away from another person that somebody else isn't getting. It's not a competition. It's not numerics. It's not it's not quantitative. Just chill out. Take your experiences with humans and don't make it into a numbers game in your head. But okay. I gotta go flip the laundry. I'll be back in like a second. So, and then gonna watch Matt Walsh. I guess he got embarrassed in Tennessee because he showed up and tried to pump up his non-credentials, I suppose. But either way, sit back for like a minute. Bit longer than I thought. Also, didn't mean to smack my mouse and initiate that, but that's okay. That is a-okay. Anyway, okay, so Matt Walsh is a person who is transphobic, which I don't think he would argue, but I think I'm assuming he lives in Tennessee because I'm pretty sure that's where Daily Wire is headquartered. Fuck, I forgot my water back in the kitchen. Oh well, we'll maybe do it at a stop point. Yeah, but I guess so this video got posted earlier. So I want to watch this mainly because it's going to involve the same thing. He showed up at a hearing, I think, after this probably was recorded. So I kind of want to take a look at some of this.
Over to Tennessee. Well, we've got the bill here in Tennessee, which also is going to
My head itches.
ban the castration mutilation of children.
Trans care, yes.
There's another bill that's making its way through through the process right now to become law, and that is a bill to criminalize. Well, it's what we're being told is that it criminalizes drag shows or drag shows for children.
Yep.
Which it does.
Right.
But that's not what the bill is solely focused on. What the bill actually does is it criminalizes sexual performances for children of any variety.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can't hold any kind of sexual performance.
Well, yes, but there's basically Tennessee is also in the process of rewriting basically the definition of sexual performance to include drag shows as well. So they're trying to pass a law to say you can't do sexual performances. But right now, as the way that the definitions under the law work, that wouldn't include drag shows, because drag shows have nothing to do with sex. Especially child-friendly drag shows. Child-friendly drag shows are just basically what's the word I'm looking for? Like fashion shows for the most part. That's kind of it. But they're like specifically like not sexual in terms of its content because there's like kids there. So,
And involve children.
But they're trying to rewrite it so that
now on
fits
the
that
left,
definition. Basically,
Democrats in Tennessee, they have taken that to be an attack on drag in particular. Which, like, what does that tell you? When you say, you know what, we should ban sexual performances for children, and they immediately respond by saying, what? So you think that drag should be banned? Oh, so you're admitting that this is a sexual performance for.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So understand he's lying about the premise of their argument because there already is a law that is being introduced to rewrite code as to what is sexual performance. Like that, like it's two pieces of legislation. One changes the definition in language. The other then legislates based on that change of the language.
For children, huh? Anyway, WKRN here locally has a report on that. Let's watch that.
Capitol Newsroom now. Tennessee lawmakers discuss Senate Bill 3 today, also known as the bill to potentially criminalize drag shows. The bill went before two different committees, including the Criminal Justice Subcommittee. News 2's Chris O'Brien brings us inside.
The ayes prevail. The bill moves on. If you wish to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk.
In front of a packed House, the House Criminal Justice Subcommittee voted to advance a bill to potentially criminalize certain drag shows.
And we are fighting against a group of folks who are set on hate, but really have no understanding of what this looks like in theory and in practice.
Multiple people testified against the bill, saying it unfairly reprimands the LGBTQ community.
Last week, I went to a drag show, and I was forced to walk past a mob of masked men with guns and swastikas to get into that drag show.
Amazing.
Look, we pause it.
Madison County Republic.
That didn't happen, so that's a lie. That didn't.
Oh yeah. Yes. Traditional, classically honest Matt Walsh. Somebody testifies in like a courtroom that a thing happened. Matt Walsh wasn't there, has no evidence of it. That just didn't happen.
A group with swastikas and guns. Do we have a video of that? Any pictures of that? Whole group of Nazis with swastikas outside.
Well, it would be inconvenient if you showed that to your audience, now, wouldn't it?
If there were any swastikas, which I highly doubt that actually happened, it's almost certainly that's going to be the left that has them.
Yes. The Nazis.
That's almost certainly
the Nazis, leftists.
Who are,
yes.
walking around with swastikas so they can try to blame it on the right. They do that. That's something that they do on occasion, but most.
Would you like to present some evidence for that? Would you like to testify in a court of law about that, Matt? Would you like to substantiate that? Oh, you can't, because it's just a thing you say, because every time that the right wing acts in a way that is not just malicious but gross, you always just end up going, nope, it's just a psyop by the left. It seems like that's your excuse for everything.
Likely that was just made up. Anyway, continue.
Republican Representative Chris Todd says his bill has nothing to do with drag shows.
And
Right,
why
right,
are we
right.
targeting this one thing?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so far, Mr. Chairman, the only person that's mentioned anything about
Fucking-
drag has been the representative from
Fucking
Knox County.
Colonel
I haven't said a
Sanders
word
out
about
here.
that.
Republicans did have some concerns, particularly on the vagueness of the bill.
Tennessee's own Miley Cyrus at Bridgestone Arena. Seen her there in the past myself. Would that cross the line? Could she be subject to a pair of
Probably.
handcuffs based upon
Well, I hope
the
so.
vagueness?
Ultimately, that answer would depend on if this bill passes the full legislature. For now, the bill rests with the full Criminal Justice Committee. In
I would guess that
Nashville,
it probably
Chris
would.
O'Brien.
You probably
Now,
okay.
the full
That's fine.
criminal justice.
Probably shouldn't bring kids to a Miley Cyrus show. At least not maybe it was a Miley Cyrus show 15 years ago or something. It'd be one thing. But in the modern, yeah, who would bring a kid?
Imagine Matt Walsh, claims he's a defender of freedom, and then is going to criminalize parents from taking their kids to a concert of a major pop star. Somebody who's won Grammys, somebody who performs all around the world, and Matt Walsh is like, "Oh yeah, we'll like criminalize that. That's what freedom looks like." Yeah.
What? Miley Cyrus, current day Miley Cyrus? You're gonna bring a what? You're gonna bring a 7-year-old?
You seen
to that?
current Miley Cyrus?
If that's the slippery slope here, where now all of a sudden you can't even bring kids to a Miley Cyrus show. Okay, good. What? How is that some
This
sort
isn't
of,
America.
Like,
You don't have
horrifying
freedom.
Dystopian reality.
You know, for this matter, why do we allow parents to take kids to PG-13 movies? Why do we allow parents to take kids to see PG movies? Why don't we just arrest those parents? Obviously, the PG-13 and PG rating are guidances that allow for kids to see them with their parents' discretion. Why do we even bother? Why even bother with parent discretion? Why don't we just have it be that in Tennessee, you cannot show your kids anything that the state does not deem applicable to them, does not deem appropriate for them? Why not that? Why not that? Why not let's just not have fucking freedom?
You need a gift for Valentine's Day? Well, then you need.
Choosing your username is annoying. Hi there. That's also a really long name. Essentially, the in Tennessee, they're attempting to change the language around sexual performance to be any person who I forget the specific wording, but it's essentially anybody who wears clothing that and performs any kind of entertaining dance or anything like that. If anybody does any of that while what's the word? While accentuating, I guess. I'm trying to think of the word. Hey, let me see if I can find it. Actually, I think I know who I can go to find it. Give me a second, because I know exactly who I can go to find it. Now the big question is gonna be how far down? How far down? Twitter. No, let's see. Nope. Keep going. Where is it? Is this it? No. That's a Texas bill. Liability informed. Essentially, while I look for it, essentially what the bill is it's essentially saying that anybody who characterizes, I guess, the opposite sex. So if you're a guy wearing like a dress, that in and of itself is sexual behavior. And if you're doing any kind of entertainment, that in itself is a sexual performance. I wish I could find, see if I like Google their name and like Tennessee, will I get it? That would like make sense, right? Like if I did that, let's see. Let's see. Tennessee. Okay, here we go. I think I found it. Language. Okay, here we go. Let me get a zoom in really quickly. Well, actually, baby, no, it scales, son of a bitch. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Bill 3. The bill kind of simplifies the nuance issue a bit too much, but I can see why they were scared enough to try and push it through. Yeah. Thank you for that. Section 1 Tennessee Code. Adult cabaret performance means a performance in a location other than an adult cabaret that features topless dancers, go-go dancers, exotic dancers, strippers, male or female impersonators. Okay, so yes. So this is what I mean. So they're pretty much lumping in, like, obviously topless dancers and strippers. We all understand that. Go-go dancers, I actually don't know. If I remember correctly, go-go dancers aren't nude, but okay. Exotic dancers, same thing. And male or female impersonators, which is to say, drag queens. Like, that's just including drag queens who provide entertainment that appeals to a prurient interest, which is like a sexual one, or similar entertainers, regardless of whether whether or not performed for consideration. Let's see. It is an offense for a person to engage in an adult cabaret performance on public property in a location where adult cabaret performance could be viewed by a person who is not an adult. Notwithstanding, okay, that's another one. Preempts an ordinance, regulation, restriction, or license that was lawfully adopted or issued by a political subdivision prior to the effective date. So this would also implicate, it looks like this would also implicate people before the bill went through. Prevents or preempts the political subdivision from enacting and enforcing in the future other ordinances, regulations, restrictions. The first offense of the violation is a Class 1 misdemeanor, and a second subsequent such offense is a Class E felony. Takes effect July 1st, 2023. So, like, when we talk about the law being just completely rewritten to now include drag queens, that's what that's going to be. The male or female impersonators is specifically targeting drag queens because they don't want drag shows. Like, none of the rest of this stuff happens. Kids aren't in the vicinity of topless dancers, go-go dancers, exotic dancers, or strippers. All of those things are already sectioned off into their own adult entertainment venues, whether that be strip clubs, cabarets, whatnot. But the inclusion of male or female impersonators immediately implicates any drag queen and immediately implicates any drag show that doesn't take place in a cabaret, again, somewhere where children are not allowed. It's super vague and unspecific, as this other chatter rightfully points out, which is how that they're targeting it. It's not like specific, because obviously a specific law that was just like drag shows not allowed would not fly. It would be pretty, I'm pretty sure it would get like shut down as being unconstitutional. But if you can legislate around that and make it so like, oh, like, well, we never said drag shows, just this specific type of performance that would include drag, like, and we define that as like sexual, then boom, we can define all of this as nefarious.
Genucel skincare. For the first time ever,
what is going on? Matt Walsh, why are you selling skincare? Aren't you a real man?
Now, I think it's actually really easy, though, to distinguish between something like a drag show and a pop star musical performance. It would be pretty easy to distinguish between those things. And I think even in the language of this bill, it succeeds in doing that. But my point is that if you were to accept the slippery slope argument, I don't see it as a problem. To have some
God forbid
standards
freedom
of decency, especially as it pertains.
What basic standard of decency are we not living by now? Like you already have to wear a shirt and shoes or no service. What are we talking about? What's being lost here?
It's a content that where children are involved. That's yes, we should have that. Historically in this country, we've always had that. It's only very recently where we've decided that the government has no role whatsoever in enforcing any standards of decency at all.
Even certainly depends on the decency.
And so if the sexual degenerates and perverts want to expose themselves to kids all day long and have sexual performance of kids, there's nothing we can do, because if we were to do anything at all, next thing you know, we're in a Handmaid's Tale. Like, it's only very recently that people in this country have become stupid enough to buy an argument like that. Now, the reporter there in the news article is not being honest. What we hear is that the sponsor of this bill claim that it has nothing to do with drag shows. They're not saying it has nothing to do with drag shows. They're saying it's not specifically outlawing drag shows. What they're saying is
Ah,
it
yes.
outlaws sexual performances for children.
Right.
And if
Which
there's
you've
a
defined
drag show
as
that
somebody
falls under
who
that
performs
umbrella,
drag.
then yes, it would be banned. But this would also ban, for example, a burlesque performance with featuring women where children are involved. It would ban that too.
Cool. It's funny because nobody's arguing to have burlesque shows for kids. That would be a problem if that was an argument that people were making, or if that was something that people wanted. But if you want to see what the tears of a family-friendly drag show, they're wearing clothes that the most skin that's being shown in this picture is somebody's shoulders, something which you can see at the fucking beach almost every single day. So when it comes down to what are we talking about in terms of damage done to children? This is all right, what's sexual about any of this? They're wearing a wig. People wear wigs. They're wearing dresses. This person's wearing a shirt and a dress. So but it's not. But that's the thing. It has nothing to do with sexualization. It has nothing to do with children. It's that Matt Walsh doesn't like these people. Matt Walsh sees this and he feels disgust. He starts frothing at the mouth at seeing a picture like this. I would bet any money that Matt Walsh would say that these are the type of people that need to be taken around the corner and dealt with. I have no doubt Matt Walsh would be in favor of that because he's already in favor of everything else. He's in favor of ostracizing these people in our society to the point that they can't function like everybody else. They have no freedom to function like everybody else. So the question becomes what's the damage? And Matt Walsh can't point to any of it. All he can point to is hypothetical. All he can point to is decency. But can he point to any damage? Is there any studies showing that any of these drag shows cause harm for children? No, there's none. And if there was, I would have heard about it by now. Somebody in chat would have probably given me an argument by now about oh no, this is actually really damaging to children because look at this study that we found. But most of it is always just well, don't you think well, I'm not a fucking psychologist. I'm not a fucking psychiatrist. I can think a lot of things are bad, but unless I got evidence of that, then that's just my opinion, man.
Now, you might point out that that's not really happening, that most of this stuff is involving drag. But that only tells you something about the people that are putting on these shows. That just tells you something about drag. I mean, if the whole drag industry will come crashing down if they aren't allowed to involve children anymore, well, then it sounds like the drag industry is one that should come crashing down. And they continue to tell on themselves. So
Miniature Blaze, I respect that you're hey, people get to do what they want. I totally respect that. Here's the thing. You can think that that's degeneracy, and you have all the freedom to. But you're going to have to, what's the word? You're going to have to show me real world harm to children, because all we're really seeing, all we're looking at is people just wearing clothes that normally their gender tells them that they shouldn't be wearing, which it doesn't matter. A piece of cloth, stitched in a certain type of way is not meant, it's not indicative of anything. It's not harmful. It's fun. Women who wear men's t-shirts and they're much larger and they stretch all the way down to their fucking ankles. That's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's perfectly fine. It's not the clothes that women are supposed to wear, but I also don't think that anybody is supposed to do basically anything besides not kill each other and shit. But the problem I have is it's always the problem I have is it's always oh, I don't like this, it's degenerate or whatever. And it's that's fine. If that's your opinion, I disagree with you, but you need to show me some harm. That's the big thing. You need to show me some harm before I'm willing to buy into taking people's rights away, to not just view this stuff, but also to perform any of it. If I'm a parent, I got no problem with my kids seeing some guy in a dress. Because I'm perfectly secure in the ability of explaining, hey, some guys like wearing dresses. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Yeah, you'd also have to prove that it's sexual, which rewriting, like the thing also, like what username brings up also is it's like, if it's sexual, absolutely. There are such things as sexually explicit or like not child friendly, not family friendly drag shows. But those aren't like performed in bars for families. Like, it's like anything else. It's like movies. There are movies that are R-rated and movies that are PG rated. Like, it's just a form of media, a form of entertainment, a form of art. And like how you, like the things that you can basically get away with determine what your rating is. You know, we have the MPAA, but like we also have boards that look at this stuff in local communities when it comes to drag shows to give parents at the very least, a baseline understanding of, hey, this one is family friendly. There isn't going to be nudity. There isn't going to be curse words. There's not going to be anything that you would deem above like a PG to PG-13 level. And I think parents are perfectly within their right, the same way they are taking their kids to a Miley Cyrus show or a PG-13 movie. I think that's fine. I'm fine with parents making that decision for their families of what they're okay with their kids seeing.
So much because they don't even a bill like this that prohibits sexualized performances for children. The left, they don't just claim that it's anti-drag. They say that it's anti-LGBT. So if you want a bill that says you can't put on a sexual performance for kids,
drag show,
you can't like strip and tear clothes off in front of kids.
Doesn't happen at doesn't happen at family-friendly drag shows. But okay, keep lying.
You can't bring your sexual fetishes out and put on a performance featuring them for kids. If you say that, then they say, well, that's anti-LGBT.
It's not a sexual fetish.
What are you saying about the LGBT community? That if we tell you that you can't sexualize kids, that it's somehow are you saying that this is that sexualizing children?
Yeah.
is a central.
What we're defending is child-friendly, is family-friendly drag shows, which are
because that would seem to be
rather
what
mild.
You are saying if you are claiming that a bill banning the sexualization of children is anti-LGBT.
All right, cool. So Matt Walsh decided to put his. So after that video, I guess he decided to show up and put his big boy pants on, and at the actual Tennessee house and testify for a moment, or at the very least speak. I'm gonna grab water real quick. 1 second. Now that we're at like kind of a stop point, I need water. No. Not in there. Proud of you. Okay. What? Okay. Okay. Let's go.
And who would this be directed to? Would you like to come up?
If I could ask Mr. Walsh.
Mr. Walsh, if you would mind.
Let's pump this audio up a bit. These guys are a bit quiet.
Matt, thank you for being here.
You're recognized.
Just a quick question for you. We've heard in the
We'll
news
do this
last
at
week
one point, at normal.
and even today that it's pro-life to vote against this bill. We've heard that
Holy shit. Okay.
suicides are prevalent.
Okay, maybe we do need 1.25.
Suicide has impacted my family, so I'm sensitive when I hear something like that. I've read some of the stuff that you've done, and I was wondering, can you speak to the statistics of mental health and suicidal tendencies for the people who have gone through transition and for people who have not? In your studies, from what I've read, can you speak to that?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
Sure. Well, the claim that doing the chemical castration drugs or surgery or hormonal intervention, the claim that this prevents suicide or has.
When he says chemical castration, in case nobody knows, he's talking about puberty blockers, which only really pause your puberty before it's progresses to a point where, like, if you want to move forward with like top or bottom surgery, any other kind of like more evasive trans surgeries, it's going to be a lot harder if you've gone through puberty as the gender that you don't want to identify as.
Positive psychological effects down the line is utterly, totally baseless. There are no credible long-term studies that bear that out. And one of the reasons for that is that there couldn't possibly be any credible long-term studies because we've never done this to kids on this scale ever before in history. So this current, shall we say, crop of children, they are the guinea pigs. This is all experimental. We're sort of trying it out on them to see if it works. Now, they have attempted a few times to do studies, and the interesting thing is that the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, WPATH, which is a radical far-left pro-trans organization, they commissioned a study to try to prove that, that hormones and puberty blockers decrease suicide rates among trans trans-identified youth, and even in their own study, they found that they couldn't prove it. They couldn't make that link because it's just not possible to do. The other thing I would mention too is that, you know,
so the argument is that there are, I don't have any studies, but they don't either, except for medical consensus. Got it.
The number of trans-identified youth has skyrocketed in recent years. We're talking about exponential 10x, 20x growth. Just huge numbers have increased. And what we hear from the pro-trans side is that, well, this is not a social contagion. It's just that, you know, there's always been this many trans people. It's just that they were not in an affirming environment before in history.
Same with
so
gay
they couldn't
people.
come out. And now
There's
for the
always
first
been
time,
gay
trans
people.
have the ability to live their truth, so to speak. Well, if that's the case, and there have always been these sort of like millions of trans people, and if it's also true that if we don't affirm them, that it would cause them to commit suicide, then we should be able to look back in history.
Did you know that there was historical data in like science back in like the 1930s that the Nazis actually burned? Like, there was already a like trans research and trans studies going on in Weimar, Germany before the Nazis took over and burned the entire facility to the ground. So like when Matt says like, oh, there should be studies, you're right, there should be. Unfortunately, the Nazis burned them down, so we lost that bit of research. Had that not happened, we probably would have a lot more data to work on, especially, and we'd probably also be farther along with understanding trans care.
And find just this unbroken, incredible epidemic of children mysteriously killing themselves because they weren't being affirmed as trans. And what you find is that that didn't exist. I mean, the youth suicide rate has increased exponentially alongside trans affirmation. So trans affirmation causes the suicide rate, not the other way around. The last thing I'll note is that the suicide rate among trans-identified people
so the
is
suicide
sky
rate,
high.
so
It
the
remains
suicide
sky
rate in
high.
kids
All
was,
the data shows this. It remains
didn't
sky high
exist then?
even after
Okay.
surgery. And
Makes
in
sense.
fact, in the most reliable data that we have, it's years after surgery when suicidality is the highest for trans-identified people. That's the reality.
Chairman President, you good? Okay. Any further questions for Mr. Walsh while we're out of session? Mr. Hammer? Representative.
Yeah, like I can understand if you're like a little bit put off by puberty blockers, but there's no like long-term data saying that it's like harmful. And there's also there's mostly we have, I wouldn't say short-term, but like medium-term data that it's perfectly fine. Like puberty blockers have been used for a rather long time for other uses, and the side effects have been pretty minimal. It's only when used in trans care that it's kind of gained a lot more attention, and like for specifically for like trans care is a bit of a different use than before, but like it's like these drugs have been around for quite a bit, so we understand them to a degree. It's just the effects that they might be having on trans youth is mildly different. But again, all the data shows so far that it's the best course of action if somebody wants to transition later. And if they don't, then they go off the puberty blockers and they just develop as whatever gender that they originally were, and then that's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. I found it interesting. One of our people testified today that they had their gender affirming surgery at 16. And I know you in former comments mentioned this on your blog. At about 16, you're an adult who's mature and can make decisions. You're that at 16. I don't care what anybody says. Even going so far as to say, 16 people. When you're 16, you should be married and could be pregnant. Should be pregnant. So I'm curious. If 16 is
that is true, though. He did say that.
Why does this bill have
Matt Walsh totally cool at 16-year-olds marrying 40-year-olds?
Yeah, that's a hit piece you took from Media Matters, something when I was a radio host 13, 14 years ago, in my early 20s.
It's also something that you said.
It's also not an accurate reflection of what I actually said. I was talking about the fact that people tended to marry young historically, and that's all that was about. How does that relate?
Should we bring up the context? Are you guys aware of this? Should I bring up the context? Because it's quite funny.
To this subject?
Just curious of your definition of if you feel like people are adults at 16 should.
Well, people are adults at 18, but actually, your brain is not fully developed until you're 25. So we should be having a conversation about whether we should even be doing these surgeries to people at 18. But certainly before 18, it's absurd. I mean, do you think that a 16-year-old can meaningfully consent to having their body parts removed? Do you? No.
We do not. Yeah, we ask the questions. It's not.
It's not how this works.
You're recognized. No more questions. Okay. Representative Clemens, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you give us a summary of your educational background or your healthcare education experience?
Mr. Walsh, you recognized.
My experience in healthcare?
Your educational background. I'm just curious.
Don't know what happened with
You
that.
testified as to a lot of your own research, so I'm curious for what purpose you do that and what background you have to qualifies you to speak to that.
Well, my background that qualifies me to speak to this is that I'm a human being with a brain and common sense, and I have a soul. And so, therefore, I think it's a really bad idea to chemically castrate children. That is my experience.
So you have no experience then. You have about as much expertise as anybody who walks down the street. Got it.
Also, I did. Now it's true. I didn't go to college, but I did go to school long enough to learn how to read, so I can read the data for myself, and that's exactly what I've done.
Representative Clements, you
And for what purpose do you conduct your research and use this brain of yours?
Mr. Walsh, you recognized.
I use it for the purpose of trying to protect children from being castrated and mutilated. That's one of the things I try to do.
You don't use it to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You don't use it to get clicks on your publication.
Well, are you using it right now to try to get clicks with this interaction?
What? What? They're not YouTubers, you dipshit. What? Wait, what? They're not trying to get clicks, you idiot. Like, oh man, I don't think Matt Walsh understands the environment that he's in.
I really like the idea.
Hey.
Of drawing attention to the fact that this is happening to children. I know you seem to find it very amusing. I don't.
Representative Clements.
Well, you made a lot of misrepresentations and characterizations in your comments, so I think it's fair for me to question your background.
What are the
Let me finish, please.
You recognize Representative Clements.
You know, if you're going to come before a committee and make mischaracterizations and misrepresentations, it's fair game for us to ask you your educational background and your foundational knowledge for making such characterizations. That's my point. So I'm curious about you speaking to the development of the human brain by the age of 25. I seem to recall you advocating on behalf of firearm possession at the age of 18. Do you think that's appropriate?
Let's stay on the bill, please.
That's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah, well, can I respond to that?
Representative Mitchell, you're recognized.
I can't respond to what?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, you know, I think your original article, blog post, or
The soul
tweet
is
or
a different
whatever
age from
kinda
the
started this
human.
firestorm. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, where we need to look for these surgeries, because I'm still trying to find, you know, the surgeries, because, you know, the sponsor of the bill last week, I kind of agreed with him. I said, we need to split this bill into two parts. You know, I may agree with him on the surgery part, because I don't think it's happening. So, you know, you seem to have started this, so I need your evidence of where these surgeries are occurring in Tennessee. Could you give me, you know, places,
Oh,
times,
no.
maybe some names, or something that, you know,
Yeah.
you know of?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
My evidence is the healthcare provider's own words. I outlined Vanderbilt Health and their transgender care program.
Right.
And the people that work for that program, their own words, talking about what they do. And talking about, for example, providing the chemical castration drugs to adolescent children.
Is that what they said?
As far as surgeries, you know, double mastectomies do happen. And the way that I know that they happen is that after I called attention to this program at Vanderbilt, they said that they were going to stop performing. They were going to put a pause on the program that performs these surgeries on minors. And so if you're pausing the program that performs surgeries on minors, then I'm going to assume that the program existed. Otherwise, you couldn't have paused it. So now, the exact number of kids who are being subjected to this?
He does realize that there's like programs in hospitals for a lot of different illnesses that don't necessarily function because, fun fact, if there's not somebody that has like polio, you probably don't have a polio division in your hospital. Like the only reason they would pause that is because is probably two reasons. One, it wouldn't harm anybody because they weren't doing it. And two, they wanted to avoid political targeting by Matt Walsh and his fans who targeted a children's hospital up in Massachusetts and had a bomb threat called in. So there's also that. You know, there's a certain amount of, will this cause damage to anybody? No, because we're actually not doing any of those because it's not a thing. But we're going to say that we're not doing it just to avoid the possibility of somebody calling in a bomb threat.
So I don't know exactly. It's really hard to come up with those numbers.
I don't know
people doing it aren't
exactly.
really proud of it.
Lovely.
And there's not a lot of interest on their end to tell us. But I do think that, you know, even one child being horrifically mutilated is too many. So I know that it's more than one, and that's reason enough to put a stop to this, I would say.
Representative Mitchell, you recognize.
So last week I had an amendment
nothing.
that, you know, we're looking to protect children from abuse. And I also had an amendment to stop cosmetic surgery of rhinoplasty and breast enhancements to minors. How would you feel about that? You know,
Sure.
is that mutilation of children as well under the age of 18? They can't think for themselves?
Representative Mitchell, that's not on the bill that we have.
Yeah, it is. It's surgical. It's surgical.
I'm happy to answer that.
You're free to answer, Mr. Walsh.
Okay. My personal feeling about banning breast enhancements for minors? Yes, I would be all for, personally, I'd be all for banning that, absolutely. Yeah.
Representative Mitchell.
Okay, and so I think the previous representative, you know, proved that you have no medical background, correct?
No.
So you're here probably just as a public policy. You're trying to address good public policy, correct?
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
So I just have to question, you know, some of your public policy, you know, expertise when, you know, I'm
Isn't
reading here,
rhinoplasty
Singapore
also
is
like
able to
when you
have
get your
nice things
nose?
in part because they
Isn't that
execute
like a
drug
nose
dealers
thing?
by hanging and arrest even petty vandals and thieves and beat them with a cane until they bleed. We don't have nice things here because we aren't willing to do what is required to maintain them. So, you know, with statements like that, I kind of have to question
great question,
your public
username.
policy beliefs. And, you know, and you also stated there'd been no studies.
Why
Well,
does
I'm
he
sitting
not
here
seem to
holding
be
studies
interested
from the
in that?
American Academy
I
of
wonder
Pediatrics.
if like him and Ben have ever had that conversation in the what's it called? In the office.
From the University of Pittsburgh about the
Liberal
disparities between transgender and cisgender adults and children. So I think, you know, before you state things, you may need to know all the facts. Thank you.
Tragic. Imagine having your entire career like built on your like knowledge and everything else. This goes back, if you guys ever saw like that Joe Rogan interview that he did, and like, you know, he really bigs himself up, but the minute Joe Rogan, a guy who's not like, you know, for all you can say about Joe Rogan, he's not the like, you know, he's not the brightest bulb in the batch. You know, he doesn't ask super complicated questions. He just asks Matt Walsh to like substantiate the stuff that he's been saying on his podcast and on his show. And Matt Walsh just goes, I don't really, I don't
Welcome
really
back to
have
the comment
data
section.
for that one. Hey, shush, be quiet, yeesh. But it's always funny to me. You know, this guy goes out of his way to be like the know-it-all when it comes to trans stuff, from the anti-trans crowd. But yet, like, most of the time I'm like, dude, like, you don't have any of the data. If like you're pushed at all, your opinion comes down to like, oh, well, I breathe, oxygen goes like, oh, what makes you an expert on trans issues, Matt Walsh? Well, I breathe in, oxygen enters my lungs and then is used to create red blood cells and everything else. And then I breathe out carbon dioxide and I come to the opinion that trans people are degenerate and aberrant. I come to the decision like every other scientific study does. So like, and it's like, come on, dude, like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't like trans people and you're just trying to find any kind of justification to legislate them out of society. It's fine. Just be honest about it. It's weird because Matt's honest about almost everything else. But for whatever reason on this issue, he knows that he has to be at least mildly dishonest to like actually be able to get away with most of his rhetoric. But, okay. Anyway, all right. So let me show you what else we got on the docket for today. Okay. Okay, so I heard. Okay, so this dude popped up on my on like my suggested or whatever, because my suggests page is a lot of fun on this account. And it seems to be like very like kind of a real man kind of channel. I don't really know too much about Homeboy. But I'm thinking, like, you know, we got, like, you know, I don't really know which one of these I want to dive into as a first experience. Let's go at popular. What do we got for popular? If meat eaters acted like vegans. Oh, I've seen this video, actually. It was kind of funny. That video was actually kind of funny, I remember. Okay, the swimmer. I don't know. Let's do recents, I guess. We'll do recents. I did see this. This seems interesting. The Pfizer stuff is boring. I don't want to do the Satan stuff. The Satan stuff's weird. I mean, the Satan stuff is it's just satanic panic from the 80s. The struggles of being a privileged white male. Now, I find it kind of interesting that video is next to another one that at least ostensibly looks like it's about trans folks, but I clicked on it and then was like, maybe not. Disaster control of Biden's classified docs. Friends with, oh wait, I don't have kids. Oh, let's do this one. I'm curious. What's this guy's like? I don't have kids. Okay, I don't have kids. Let's see what this guy has to say about
Dear friends without children.
Me.
Now
That's
that I
me.
have a kid, there will be some changes in how our friendship works.
Right.
You won't be seeing as much of me anymore.
This is like a
and
bit, I
please
feel
know that's not because you don't matter to me. It's just that you matter less.
Yes.
A lot less.
Yep,
Anytime you
that makes
invite
sense.
me out to grab dinner with you at 8 o'clock, you need to know that's after my new bedtime. And starting a dinner after bedtime would dramatically cut into the crappy 4 hours of sleep that I'm desperate to get. And doing so would take me a week to recover from. I'm mildly offended that you would even try to inflict this suffering on me with your selfish dinner invitations. And you're welcome
This is
to
actually
continue
really funny.
proposing weekend plans. But here's how that'll go. I'll vaguely commit to them by saying things like, yes, let's do that. Or,
Oh, dude,
that sounds like so much
I don't even
fun.
have kids, and that's me. I'm not
And
gonna lie.
I'm totally in. Then you can look forward to receiving a text from me the night before, letting you know that something came up with the baby. Mainly that I have one now, and I can't make it, and I'm super bummed. The truth is that I knew the whole damn time I had
This is
zero
actually pretty
chance of
funny.
following through on the commitment I made to you, and I'm not bummed at all. Now, the reason that I don't feel
I love
bummed
this
about
radical
missing out
honesty.
on our weekend plans
What do we?
is
Is
that I'm
this
not
just a
capable of
bit?
that emotion right now.
Holy shit! This is
I'm
6
living
minutes of
in a
just
constant fight or flight response.
No, it's not.
My
Okay.
wife is always angry
It's
at
only like
me.
4 minutes.
The baby is always crying. I'm aging at an accelerated rate, and I'm having undiagnosed panic attacks. So I'm sorry, but I don't feel bummed.
This is
I
yeah.
only
This is.
feel panic.
I
That's
have
the
like
only
one.
emotion I'm capable
I have a
of
couple
right
classmates
now.
who have kids now, and this is.
Having
I definitely get
children
this
is a
vibe from them.
gift. And from time to time, you'll be proposing.
Okay. This is as funny as this is. This isn't. I can sit here and laugh, but I have nothing to say about this because it's all correct. Okay, that was fun. Guess we should do something that's gonna be less fun. They're planning for your future. Oh boy, of course it's always Democrats. Fine, give me white males. Fuck it.
Yes, we are all big.
Are these all bits? Okay, so I need to know if these are all bits. Because, like, in that case, I can't tell if these are going to be, like...
Everything they say about privileged white men is true. Dude, let me tell
True.
you what it's like to earn money as a privileged white man.
Now, we've budgeted an annual
You guys didn't need to get the quartering on here. You guys didn't need to do that.
salary of $60,000 for this job, but because you're a white man, we can offer you no less than $100,000 for this job.
No, I don't want that much.
We are unwilling to budge on
Okay, stop with the bits. Is this whole channel bits? It feels like it. Okay, so his whole channel is bits. Showed up at Tucker Carlson. His whole channel is bits. Okay, this is less interesting now because it's kind of funny. Oh yeah, this is the video of the thing.
Got it.
What's going on?
I like this AI-generated porn. Seems much more natural than the real thing. Good evening,
Oh, yeah,
and
that was
welcome
a thing
back to
this
your
week, wasn't
most
it?
trusted source
Dude,
of
that was
lies.
terrifying.
Along with the full
I saw some of
report
those
on the
pictures.
Chinese spy balloon, we'll also be misleading you on other top stories tonight, including what's going on with ChatGPT. There's racists out there, and Pfizer is in hot water. But first, Americans have been anxious over the Chinese Communist Party gathering intelligence and spying on them with their spy balloon.
Do you liberals defend the Chinese balloon? Why would it, why do I care if China has a balloon? No, of course not. Like, do people defend the the balloon? It's like, yeah, no shit. Don't fly into other people's airspace. I feel like that's fairly obvious. Like, okay, this is a much more boring channel than I expected. That's the true answer. Not a liberal, a leftist. Okay, well that was boring. Okay. Fuck it, then I guess we're doing the Jubilee thing that I was like, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. But considering that dude's channel was all bits, which were funny, But, you know. Hasanabi leftism. What? You're not even on Haas's channel. You're on an incredibly small channel. I'm different, all right?
Brought together 7
Although,
strangers,
like,
protected
you
their
know,
identities,
I wish I made
and created a
Haas's
space
money.
for them to be completely honest. What will be revealed when they take the mask off?
Everyone is racist, including me.
Oh, yeah, everyone. Okay, what is this? If men were 100% honest. Okay. Ooh. Ooh.
I'm not, like,
What
nobody
is
wants
it?
to think of themselves
Everyone
as
is
racist,
racist,
and I don't
including me.
think I'm
Okay.
racist in the way that I think we think about racism, but I think I took the question as these like inherent biases that everybody has, and I think most of the time, most people are not aware of this.
It's weird. I think there's like this new generational divide of like, you are a racist or you said a racist thing. And I don't know where the line is. You might say something.
Well, the line is like you said something racist, or maybe you said something that's like indicative of like subconscious bias. I think the term is like inherent biases, but I don't like it. I genuinely don't like the term inherent biases because it makes it sound like it's like inherent to people's like identity or the way they think, where a lot of that is socially constructed. But like subconscious bias absolutely is when you say stuff that's like, you know, it's like I go up, okay, so I'm in my kitchen, somebody orders a pizza, and I like go up to them, deliver their ticket for their order, and I'm like, I need the pepperoni pizza. Like, is that kind of racist? Yeah. Is it like harmful? Not really. Like, it's not like, you know, it's not like extreme or anything, but it's small stuff like that. Like that's like the you said a racist thing, and then there's people who are like, oh yeah, black people are lesser than the Jews run the world, yada yada yada.
Being a little racist or something you don't see as racist, someone calls you out and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, apologize. And if you argue that point against them, then I would say you're racist. But if you understand, you come to understanding, you learn, everyone should be able to forgive that person and be like, no, you made a mistake. People make mistakes. I don't know. I feel like it's a binary. Yeah.
I think a really important thing that kind of is tough with cancel culture right now is that road to redemption. And so after you've said something wrong, you know, how do you make yourself right again in the public sphere?
This is true.
I feel like I don't see that a lot with cancel.
I think the only thing you can do in that scenario, if you're like canceled, like the only thing you can really do is like redeem yourself in a way that like is what's it called? Like the only thing you can really do at that point is redeem yourself for yourself and for, I think, people close to you. But you're never going to get away from, unfortunately, the internet being what it is, you're never going to get away from this or that cancellation. Just because there are going to be people who come to that information maybe like the day before. So to them, it's new information. Unfortunately, it's just kind of the way.
There's now an acceptance like
being
hey,
canceled and being a public figure works.
Or at least better.
I think social media kind of incentivizes against redemption, and I feel like it's just outrage. And I do think people do like the rush of anger. I don't think people really believe in redemption anymore.
I guess, just kind of disagree with the idea of racism as a binary. It kind of goes back to that like really old meme where like Skipper says like, we did it, Mrs. Obama, racism is over. The idea of a redemption is just like, all right, they've fixed their racism, in the sense that like I think the redemption that our society is calling for is impossible. It's almost like you need to like write a check every time you make a racism, and like that will absolve you of your thing, where I think like what we should be doing is like the idea of growth. Mm-hmm.
You know, when people are interpersonally racist, it's like bad. The only thing I really want is the systems that like target people of certain races to be deconstructed. That's the main thing. I want the systems to be fair. If people are assholes, then like people are assholes. That's fine. If we lived in a world where like people were interpersonally racist, but there weren't systems that also reinforce that, then I would much prefer that than the world that we have, where people are sometimes racist every once in a while. I don't think it's a deep problem, but we have systems that reinforce a lot of really bad stereotypes and punish people for essentially just being of a certain race and living in a community that also they were pushed into because of their race. I'm thinking about redlining in that specific case.
Towards a better understanding.
I have struggled with my sexuality.
I felt an attraction to men really young, and I didn't connect to gay culture at all. And I was like, I'm
totally
either straight
fair.
or gay. It can't be another one. So I very consciously put myself in the closet.
I forgot to set an
and,
alarm for my
I didn't
dryer.
feel
Oh, well.
confidence to like be my own person, obviously in high school. And slowly but surely, I started to come out to more people and talk about my experience and stuff. But people come out of the closet, that's one thing. That's the second step. The first step is like really kind of like acknowledging it and like loving yourself. And that was the hardest part for me. And I'm pretty good now. I'm happy and bye.
Now
Happy
very
for
comfortable
you.
with my sexuality, and I know it's a spectrum, but I think I'm for the most part straight. I struggled with depression for a long time, and I think one of the
God,
side
don't we
effects
all?
of that for me was I fell into an eating disorder, and I got really skinny, and because I was struggling with an eating disorder, it made me for some reason question my sexuality, and I understand how messed up that is now. I started to ask myself, why did you associate that one with the other? And I think it was because it's just not largely talked about with straight men that we can still struggle with mental health and eating disorders.
I have a very
Yeah, that's like, I mean, that's one of the, we watched that like Brett Cooper video of like her talking about how toxic femininity exists, but toxic masculinity doesn't now, or whatever. And yeah, like that is an aspect of toxic masculinity where you're so stoic, so walled off to other men and to other people that you don't express the like actually harmful like feelings that you're having, the things that are holding you back from being happy. Like, yeah, that's kind of, how many men are told like, don't cry, hold it in, like, and how many of us, even I'm aware of that, but I still perform that like performative strength of like watching something that might make me sad, but like I still hold that into a degree.
core memory.
Happened when we finished what's it called?
Me walking in.
Finished like Cyberpunk Edge Runners recently, and I was like, nope, I'm gonna make jokes and get through the ending and not be sad, even though I'm definitely depressed after watching that show.
And I'm still working with like the idea that if I have a crush on a man, that's not inherently disgusting, because what's more disgusting than a man wanting you? Like you said, like connecting to the gay community, unless you fit like it seems the tiniest of boxes, is really hard. And even now, like I went out last night and I had somebody that I kind of like caught my eye, but I had no idea how to approach that. It's like everybody else got like a manual and like 17 easy steps to not have social anxiety when in the club. And I'm just like, I guess I was sick that day. I didn't get
the
that
key
class.
is that they're faking it. That's the actual key.
Sorry, I'm using
everybody who's like confident, it's not that they don't have anxiety, it's that they just fake it hard as shit.
Oh my god, that sounds like I'm an old woman. They're like, you're so handsome. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, obviously don't say that, but it's like, okay, but then what do you say? Because like, do I not think that he's handsome? I don't know.
Have you ever been confused by consent before?
There have been instances where, in terms of friends, relationships, whatever, I can go too far because
I'm
I'm so
confused.
afraid
Oh,
to
okay.
consent, and just because people seem comfortable with something, you kind of go along with it.
Yeah, I think the reason I said yes was just thinking very specifically about situations where both of us have been.
Wait, how do you
really
agree or
drunk
disagree to
something like
that?
Where it's like, it's not one person's sober and the other person's drunk, and the drunk person's saying yes. But if you're both drunk and both consenting and into it in the moment,
My face
and then
a bit
the next
bigger?
day, like I've had like neither of us really consented.
I got
Is
you.
anybody in the wrong here? And so that's kind of what I thought of when I heard I've been confused about consent. It's not as much in the moment, but after
Wait,
the
1
fact in
second.
that scenario.
Jack, that situation is pretty scary because you interpreted it one way, and if someone
where is it?
was hurt and you didn't mean to do that, and you didn't take the precautions for that, you're still at fault. And that's and I'm not saying that's your situation.
Yeah.
That's like that's the kind of world we live in, where we can really get in trouble sometimes, even when we don't mean to hurt others. It sucks.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing about consent is it's not always just like this guy being like, oh, come on. Like, there's such a finer line. There's so many gray areas that it's really important to have those conversations because there can be so many different scenarios that are still non-consensual. So
Women have more power than me.
No, where are you?
Yeah, I definitely don't think women have more power. And I think some people might think that just because you're seeing a growing relative power that, some men might not be used to. Now that women are kind of getting closer to being equal to some people that might feel like they're getting more power and they might be more powerful.
Oh my God, go
And so I can understand why someone might, perceive
There's
that
my
as
head
relative,
big
but
now.
absolutely I don't agree that like women have more power. I think we're getting closer to equality at this point where it's a work in progress.
I don't know. It's like a yes and no question. I was harassed by a superior who was a woman at a previous job, like repeatedly harassed. I reported it to my boss, who was a white male, and he just laughed it off and said, toughen up, buttercup. When women are harassed, I think if I was a woman and I reported...
Oh my God, I just thought about this. We absolutely, what's it called? We have like a situation at my job right now that like we have somebody who actively like sexually harasses the males at our workplace. Like, it is overt. Like, he's said outwardly that, like, oh yeah, I wouldn't get away with this if I did this to any of the women in the like here. But he does it to the dudes, and like somebody brought it up to like our manager, and he literally gave them this answer where he was like, you know, you just gotta get used to it or just ignore it. Like, you know, he means well. He's just like being a little too he's just too friendly sometimes. And everyone was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what the fuck?
Harassment, especially right now with Me Too and everything, CEO would see a huge red flag, a huge possible controversy, and like, I know there's definitely, you know,
50% of college women get flown out to Dubai by rich men? Fuck! Damn it! I rolled the wrong dice. I rolled the wrong fucking gender dice. God damn it!
But for me,
I want to go to. I want somebody to pay for me to go to
care.
Dubai.
You're a man.
Sounds fun.
I don't give a shit. Like, she's a woman. She can't harass you. And
that's.
It was really hard. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
And I was really scared. And like, if I didn't have some, you know, good women in my life and some good people, I wouldn't have taken action. I would have just toughened up, and I would have let it kill me inside.
Sorry that happened. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
I've had fantasies.
Oh boy. Damn, there's one dude.
So I said yes because like I can't think of a specific time, but like I believe I have at one point. It's more like role playing under very strict guidelines.
I don't know if that's the same thing.
Will stop if I ever get too uncomfortable. In terms of like fantasizing about actually doing the very illegal and immoral act, no. But I think, you know, like role playing or even like the fiction you read or even like to a certain extent, as long as it's ethically made, porn, like it's exploring that healthily, I think is valid. And it's something that I think I have done in the past.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I explore it in porn.
Yeah, if you're like, yeah, if you're like somebody who's like, yeah, in a controlled setting where there's like consent, I have no problem with that because that's like not rape. That's consensual like role playing. Like that's fine.
It freaks me out too much. You know, I do have like this kind of feel of wanting to be dominated by a man, you know, or a woman. That's more in porn than like in real life. I feel like I'd be freaked out in real life if that happened. But
I feel like that's a lot of people. A lot of people be like, yeah, I'm okay with it. And then it's like, oh, maybe not.
Idea. You're saying, am I playing the role of the assailant or the victim?
The assailant or
the role I'm playing would be that of the assailant, of the assailant. And my partner would be the victim. Due to like social anxiety and like just a lot of things that keep me like a more like docile and submissive person, I like exploring a more dominant side via power dynamics in a safe environment, obviously. When you're assaulted, like sexually assaulted, you don't have a choice in the matter, but when you are role playing it, you can say, you know, like a safe word.
Yeah.
And that you have
the
control. But when it's that control's robbed from you, it, you know, it messes with you.
Yeah, rape is like actively like assaulting somebody without their consent.
I always think that it's really insensitive, at least, to be doing these role plays because you will never be able to feel what these people feel, and like it kind of it's off shifting to know that that's something desired. You know, I understand that, and like I said, it is something like obviously I've never experienced it, and so my fantasy kind of might come from like a position of privilege, and I think that's why I'd like to explore it in a healthy way to figure out like why exactly I feel that way. And I understand like from the outset, and even like as I explain it, it has the potential to sound like incredibly like jarring and shitty. The way you're explaining it, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I wouldn't say
that you're a person, but now that I
thought it was bold, only person to come out and be like, yeah.
Thought to yourself over time. So like I just want to I appreciate that, and I think that the way you handled it is kind of a good way to communicate with others and understand issues. Yeah, no, like I appreciate the way you ask the questions and stuff like that. Thank you.
I have been abused.
Yeah, I mean, I've been. You go through it. No, I think I've just been abused two ways, and abused is such a can mean so many things. So I've been abused emotionally in a relationship, but not physically or sexually, but definitely emotionally. And then I've been abused as like an employee to an employer. Again,
I know that
not
feeling.
sexually or physically, but just abused their power over me.
As I talked about, I got harassed by an older female employee, and working through it, it's always a process. I don't know.
My family, we've endured emotional, physical abuse from my father, and I'm sure a lot of people can attest and say the same things. And he doesn't. He lives in a whole other country now, so I don't really talk to him. And I need that guidance. When I'm going from 14 to 18 years old, that's like a really influential time. So it's really hard to have to deal with that on your own. The worst part was when I told him about some of the issues I have because I didn't have him because of the way he, hurt me. He kind of just said, "Yo, that's your fault. Like, you can't blame me for that and put it on me." I think this kind of ties into I want to bring it in house. Sometimes I feel like
absolutely miniature
boys. I can't really
boys.
talk about my problems because you're always.
I saw some other video where I think a lot of people's like understanding of abuse, they won't even like to them like if you're just being kind of mentally abusive, it's like yeah, but that's not as bad. And it's like no, that's still incredibly damaging. Like mental abuse is just as damaging as physical. The only like just because you don't see it on like you don't see it obviously on somebody's like body, like absolutely like mental abuse is like tough. I like it's an unfortunate aspect of like again like I don't want to like go always constantly be referring back to toxic masculinity, but it is an element of like, no, guys are supposed to be strong, like we're not supposed to have mental shortfalls or mental damage done to us. And it's like, no, like we're people like everybody else. Like, yeah, like you're going to get shaken by like really abusive experiences mentally or physically.
Suck it up. I'm sure all of us have been told that multiple times in your life. Suck it up. Buttercup, I heard over here one. So for you, I remember with your boss telling you that that wasn't valid, and that's not fair.
I don't think just because you're a man or white, you can't be abused. I was told that growing up.
I think abuse kind of requires a power dynamic, and like even like all of us were white men. There's always somebody above us. There's a richer, whiter man, I guess. So like, what is exactly the top? Because there's always somebody I think above us to abuse us, and that's just not really talked about.
Really quickly, I just want to do one thing. There's going to be no talking. It's the last question I have, and you cannot elaborate on your opinion either way.
Oh, boy.
The era of white men is over.
What? Okay. Oof.
Really wanted to elaborate on that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The era of white. I'm not sure if I'm crazy about that framing, but fair enough. That's what they went with. But yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting. I think I haven't seen. I think they do more of these, from what I understand. They do more of those like if people were honest videos, but I don't know. I haven't seen too many of them. I was training to get into martial arts. One of the women in the gym would constantly stomach. First part. Yeah, that's like super shitty. Like the thing that you like. I hate when people like go for that. Like, it's always shitty when people like go at the thing that they know you're going to be most insecure about, and especially if you're taking like a martial arts, like if you're doing like martial arts training, you're probably doing it to also improve your health. So it's like I'm taking the steps to better myself and you're giving me shit for it. And like if I clap back at you, I'm gonna catch flack. Where I tell everybody just clap back, just don't even bother. But I get that it's like you're gonna catch flack for that, which is super shitty. We need to normalize men clapping back at women being assholes. That's what we really need to what's it called? That's what we really need to normalize. But anyway, okay, so it's 4:09. Oh boy. That's my big ass head. Okay, I'm gonna back up a bit because even I feel like I'm way too close. I'm so close up high. We're going back. There we go. Okay, cool. Back to normal. I feel more secure that my fat ass head isn't taking up the entire screen. Okay. So normally I don't do midday streams just because regular job, somebody else works in the house and takes up the space and everything else, but really enjoyed doing this. I used to do midday ones every once in a while, but if you enjoyed, I got to do the boring part. I'm really sorry. If you enjoyed anything you saw, if you learned anything, if you got some catharsis, if you just like hanging out, then I'd really appreciate it if you go and hit the follow button if you're on Twitch, and if you're on YouTube, hitting the subscribe button really helps. I also upload all the VODs, and I usually clip out like the segments out of this and upload them onto there with very minor edits because I only have so much time in the day. Otherwise, you can always catch me at 7 o'clock on Mountain Time on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. It won't be this Tuesday. There's plans. It's Valentine's Day. What can I say? But otherwise, yeah, that's all I got for the show for the day. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I gotta run and go do the rest of the stuff for my life, but you all have a lovely afternoon, and I'll see you, maybe I see you guys Monday. That'd be really cool. I mean, you know, I'm just saying, it's always nice to have more people on Mondays. Mondays is the slower day, but either way, you all have a lovely afternoon, and catch y'all some other time.